Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the February 15th meeting of the Lorain County Board of Commissioners. I believe Mr. Williams has our dog from the dog pound today.
Okay, we got a friendly 18-month-old Shepherd mix. Jack, where do we locate this?
He was located on Telegraph Road, and he's been with us since late last month, and he's a good dog. But like I say, he's 18 months old. He's still intact, but he's full of it. He's a lot of energy, likes people, likes to jump, and somebody with a little bit of patience and maybe a little bit of training could make this a nice addition for their family.
How many dogs do we have?
I have 24 right in today as of this morning. So we've been doing very, very well with adoptions. We've only had 7 euthanizations this year, and we're out of the blocks. We're doing really good for 2012.
Oh, okay. And when will this dog be available?
This dog will be available on Saturday, the 18th, at 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk?
Under Resolutions Number 1, Job and Family Services Bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Investments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Were there investments? I don't think there were there?
No.
Sorry. Can you withdraw?
Withdraw.
Oh, second.
Appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
No advances, no repayments. Requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
No travel bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within the jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
Mr. Cortez?
I do have a potential hire in community development that I'd like to talk to the board about. I think it should be brief since we have an appointment this afternoon. That topic is allowable under the Sunshine Law for executive session talk. I'd ask at the conclusion of our regular board meeting today, we go into executive session to discuss that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Approve the waiving and the reading in the minutes of the County Commissioners of February 2012.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Community Development advertised notices for first hearing on February 29th at 11:15 and second hearing on March 21st at 11:15 for the CDBG Small Cities Program. Notice to be in the Chronicle on February 17th and Journal on March 9th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Under the engineer, advertised notice to bid limestone aggregate publication to be in the Journal on February 17th and 24th and open at 2 p.m. on March 6th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Approve payment to Huntington Bank in the amount of $241,381.70 for the purpose of paying down the highway improvement notes from the bond retirement fund.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Mr. Cortez, County Administrator?
I have no additional reports this morning, thank you.
Mr. Innes, Assistant County Prosecutor?
Commissioners, I have one matter of regarding a pending litigation that I would like to discuss with you in executive session. It should be fairly short.
Commissioners report.
I'd like to bring a resolution up to the floor. I actually came across it on Facebook over the weekend, so I'm sorry for the short notice. But if you'd like me to read it, it's regarding Nitro's law. Do you guys have anything? It's not on the agenda. Okay, I'm going to read the resolution if that's okay.
Okay.
Well, I could just do the top, I guess. In the matter of supporting House Bill 108, Nitro's law, to amend Section 595-131 and 959-132 and 959-99 of the Ohio Revised Code to specifically prohibit an owner, a manager, or employee of a kennel of dogs from committing cruel treatment of a companion animal. I won't go into the rest of this, but I think they're actually supposed to be voting on this today or tomorrow. So I don't know if there's a way that we can fax this over to the representatives so they could have it. But I did see the video, and it was very, very disturbing how these animals were treated, and most of them actually did not make it. It was fatal for them. So I would ask for my colleagues' support on this. I make a motion.
I'm reading it real
Okay, go
quick.
I'll make the second, Commissioner.
And then if
Yeah.
you want to discuss it.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm just trying to get the details. The individual where this law came out was charged with 4 misdemeanors infractions for starving 19 dogs, 8 of which died. What is the bill going to do?
I don't know exactly what the punishment of that would be. I think it's on here.
What the intent
Second
is to
parish.
be a stepping stone to a first offense felony provision.
Right.
For abusing animals.
Okay, I see it there.
I don't know how to, I'm technically challenged when it comes to Facebook, or I would have forwarded the video over to both of you. I don't know how to do that yet. I don't know how to post, that's about it.
When you do that, ask one of my kids.
Yeah, right. So if you would see the video, you would have, like, you wouldn't even be questioning whether we should pass this or not. It's,
No, I actually did see the video. I got it forward from
good.
several people. I didn't know this wasn't going to come up, but making it, basically, it's going to make it a felony if you do animal abuse. Correct, as or stepping stone to a felony for animal abuse.
Well, this is specific.
Yeah, it's
prohibiting
for-
owner, manager, employee of a kennel of
Correct.
dogs from committing cruel treatment of a companion animal.
Manager.
And this was introduced by Dan Ramos and Matt Lundy and Senator Manning.
Okay.
Oh, no, this is clerk is instructed. Who
Then-
introduced it? Who's introduced?
I
who
know that
introduced
we
it?
need
I
to
don't
send
have
it to
here.
them.
Okay, but it doesn't say who introduced the legislation.
Gareberry,
Oh, Gerberry did, Ron did?
and Weddington,
Okay,
Winburn,
sure.
and Garland.
All right. Ron Gerberry is one of the state reps who's serving on that, helping with the Turnpike proposal.
Right. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Also, Wednesday, February 29th, I have a date set for Nicole. It's almost like Kazura. It's Kastura. She works for Governor Strickland's office, and she's going to come and take a look and talk about helping, or what she can do to help St. Joe's. So,
Did you mean Governor
Governor
Kasich's
Kasich?
or what did I
office?
say?
Strickland.
Oh,
When
wow.
I wrote that, I'm thinking, wait a minute, why did she?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thought we were back to the future.
Yeah,
for
I
that.
know, yeah, back in time.
Good thought, Commissioner.
Yeah, Governor Kasich's aide, so she's going to come and talk to us about St. Joe's and see exactly what they need there and determine whether there's any help from the governor's office. So I'm going to need some help getting some people together, Mr. Cortez. I'll make you in charge of that. How's that?
That's just fine.
We need everybody there that can tell the story.
There's a gentleman in the back audience might be able to help.
Who?
Mayor Rittenauer.
Oh, yes, you too, Mayor. Clear your schedule for February 29th if you would. And it's been a very busy week with interviews and candidates nights and fundraisers, and all that stuff. So that's the end of my report.
Mayor Rittenauer from the City of Lorain and Keith Bailey could join us up front. An issue and a request came through at our Solid Waste Policy Committee meeting yesterday in regards to the City of Lorain and re-incentivizing them in regards to if they move forward with a VBS, which is a volume-based service. And I guess I'll let Keith start. He is our director of the Solid Waste Department, and then Mayor Rittenauer.
Yes, when I was before City Council of the City of Lorain here recently, this month, we were discussing specifically the $300,000 volume-based incentive grant that had passed for them at December 31st, 2010. And they want to know how they could get that money back on the table and offer back to them if they go volume-based system in the City of Lorain, all right? So I told them they needed to go through the policy committee, and rightfully so, it went through the policy committee yesterday, and at the end of the meeting, we drafted a letter, the chairman, Brian Parsons, and myself, and submitted to the commissioners to reinstate that $300,000 so they can go volume-based system and still get the grant. It behooves us with our recycling percentage increasing. We've seen the numbers yesterday from Elyria. Their numbers doubled in the first 9 months.
I interrupt you, Keith.
Yes.
Mayor Brinda said at her State of the City yesterday they had tripled.
Tripled after the last quarter's in.
Okay.
That's what we like to hear. So we've seen the numbers yesterday. Not all the numbers have been put in the grid yet, the retract software, but when they're there, we're seeing tripling the recycling rate in the city of Elyria in just 1 year. So North Ridgeville's seen the same thing in the last half of the year. So that's where we're at. We put the letter before the commissioners, hoping to gain support to reinstate this $300,000 volume-based grant, which is in the current plan, all right? And we're still under the current plan. And there's a lot of questions about when's the new plan take effect and all these kind of things. We have to have our plan ratification in by March 6th. That's our deadline with the Ohio EPA.
Which gives the commissioners till 2/29 to get it done.
Yes, sir.
To that.
Once I got the ratification in, we'll print the documents. The 6 documents are required by law to go to the agency at the submittal date, which probably be somewhere between March 3rd, I think our ratification, or 2nd, our ratification meeting is. And once it's already scheduled, from that date, as we print the documents, get them together, get them ready to ship to the EPA, and hand deliver them down to the EPA headquarters, they will then have 90 days to review that plan. All right? Once that plan is reviewed and the director has signed it, he will issue findings and orders to the district to implement that plan, which will release us from our findings and orders we're presently under from the EPA. Then there's a 45-day period after we receive the plan to implement that plan. And that means I go out and notify all the businesses that there are 50 largest businesses in our county by certified mail, all the political subdivisions. It will go in effect this day, and finalize our negotiations on our host community agreement with Republic Waste Services and have it in place. So that's the timeline we're looking at. It could go clear into, at this point, we could be in July sometime before we're done, but that's our timeline, all right?
Mayor? Comments from the board? Okay.
Chase Rittenauer, Mayor of Lorain, through the chair to the members of the board. This issue came up while council was reviewing the solid waste plan with respect to the grant that was available in years past. And in looking at it, obviously if Lorain was ever to switch to a volume-based system, there are many steps along the way that we'd have to take. But this is an incentive that I think is very good. It's a good first step if we're to go that route. And like I said, it's something that came up. My predecessor didn't take advantage of it. What I asked the policy committee and what I asked the board of commissioners is to allow this administration the ability to take advantage of the $300,000 grant should we move toward volume-based collection. Thank you.
Keith, I had a question for you.
Sure.
Are there any other communities that have missed the deadline?
No, just
No.
the City of Lorain.
And when was the deadline?
December 31st, 2010.
2010. I guess, I believe the former mayor wanted to get involved with it. It was city council in the City of Lorain that was kind of holding it up for 2 years. Is that correct?
You know, I don't know all the history there, but yes, the mayor, Kushinku, said he'd like to implement it, but they never did. All right,
Okay.
and I don't know all the factors. I don't run the City of Lorain.
This money, now the community grant money, which is different, for the entities that did participate and meet the deadline of December 31st, 2010, they haven't received any grant money for the last 2 years. Is that correct?
Community grants. Now, you're
Correct.
talking two different grant
I
programs.
understand that.
One is community grants, the other is volume-based, all right, for the switch to the carts.
Right.
All right.
Now, this $300,000 we're talking about, in the new plan, it's not allocated for carts,
No.
correct?
No.
So this money could get reallocated into the community grant money.
It's in the general, no. In your new plan, it's specific in Appendix H. Please review Appendix H. The pot of money that goes out to the communities from the community-based grants is $370,000 this year, 2012.
Right.
If the commissioners decide to award those.
What I'm saying is we have $300,000 here right now with the cart. If this plan expires, that money could be reallocated into a different fund.
It went directly back to the general fund of the
General.
district at the end of 2010. We're asking you to bring that back out and put it back on the table during this time
Community
period where
grants,
we're
no.
operating under the old grant, under
Right.
the old plan.
The plan going forward is based on, actual split based on the amount of recyclables from every community, and the number set at 375,000. It has a graduated scale every year based on the amount, and then based on where the EPA figures we have to be at on a percentage of recyclables within our community. They're two different line items. The community grants from the past that we had basically went to cover the recycling center cost over a 3 or a 4 year period.
Right. Mr. Cortez, we were having this conversation earlier. It was from our conversation, I thought this money could go to the community grants.
Well, it could, again, money can be reallocated if it's surplus in one area. That would be, that's a general practice.
It's been changed, Jim, in the upcoming plan. It's actually got a set amount every year. Now, that would be aside from what the commissioner's grants are.
Right. I'm not arguing that.
Okay.
But the question was, that I understood the question was that could it be reallocated? And you know, budgets are live documents, they can always change. We know that the hard way. So I can't say that it can't be changed, that it would be subject to certain requirements to be changed, but it certainly could be.
Yeah. Now, in order for them to get the money, there are some issues with some solid waste grants from the previous administration. They would have to pay that money back before they could get this grant money, correct?
Well, we would need to get considerable clarification on some expenditures and recovery on some that have been disallowed. Once they're disallowed by state audit, we're ordered to recover those funds, and we've been ordered to recover portions of funds. Some funds remain outstanding because they appear to be unspent. Now, I want to be cautious with this because I don't know, and if you can let the mayor come to the podium, Keith.
Sure can.
Hi, Mayor.
Hello.
I don't know that the funds have or have not been unspent. On our end, we don't see documentation to support the use of those funds, so it remains on our books as being unspent. But it may well have been spent down at the city, so I don't want to mislead people to think that the money's still sitting down there.
Right.
And you may know more on that than I do.
Some of them are questionable expenditures where the money has been spent, and I met with our auditor this morning, and we're going through the letter as well as what we still have remaining, as well as what exactly we spent the money on. So that's a work in progress based upon the state audit finding.
Now, do you have council's approval to go through with this right now?
Go through with,
The cart system.
no, what I'm asking for is if the city ever makes the change to a volume-based system, that the $300,000 incentive grant be there. You know, you alluded to the fact that city council and the mayor in the previous administration went back and forth about whose authority it was. Did council need to take a vote? Was it the mayor simply changing the method of collection? We're still reviewing those issues based upon our contract with our vendor right now. What I'm saying is at some point in the future, whether it be this year or however you want to look at that $300,000 be an option should the City of Lorain go to a volume-based system. However that comes to be, whether the mayor has the authority, whether it has to go through council, I'm just saying, should we make the change, it be an option.
I guess what I'm looking for is more of a commitment. You know, if we could have the City of Lorain give a commitment by the 29th, end of the month, that they're going to go to this system, then I think we can go through and we could extend it. But if we don't have a true commitment, a date that you are going to go to this, we're kind of extending a timeline where when we get to it, we'll get to it.
The problem with a commitment is that there are several issues with the vendor in terms of automating a city like Lorain that the city is going to have to work out. And the city has stances on certain issues with respect to the cart system, and putting a deadline on that would put the city in an unfair position with respect to negotiating those issues. So this is why, to me, it's the first step. I see several other steps being needed before we ever go to a cart system. There are certain concerns that have been raised that are very valid concerns about going to a cart system that the city is going to want to see some movement from the vendor and some guarantees made by the vendor in terms of the quality of service. So to me, I think it's a component of it, but to put a deadline on it, I think would put the city in a very unfair position with respect to negotiating the contract.
I've got to almost agree with the mayor at that point, because he's looking to pick up the ball where what happened in past administration for reasons that we're not part of happened between council and the mayor's office, and to handcuff him and stop the intent of the solid waste policy committee and the solid waste district is to increase recycling in Lorain County. That's our mission.
Well,
This is the ability for the city of Lorain to have those discussions again and move forward. And the $300,000 wasn't expended. It was basically put into our carryovers. It was explained yesterday, because the standard carryover for the solid waste policy district is about $1.5 million. We're currently over $1.8 million.
It was returned to the general revenue of the district.
Correct.
what I would ask is that you give me an opportunity to review this and talk with individuals. I know you had conversations on this yesterday.
Yeah, the policy committee.
At the policy committee. If we could table this for a week or so.
Well, the problem being there, from the mayor's standpoint, is he has to get this approved next week with his city council, one up or down on the plan. And then we have until the 29th to approve it with the 60% population agreeing to it, which we are close, and the city of Lorain put that over the top. If the city of Lorain doesn't approve, then the plan becomes null and void, and the EPA March 6th will then take over our plan and decide what's going on in the district, which would be harmful to every other community, every 33 political subdivisions that we represent. Is that a fair statement, Mayor?
That's a fair statement, Commissioner. You know, the timing of this letter is it's because of our consideration of the plan. This is an issue that came up, and I felt it necessary. I can't say how council's going to vote either way. I know that there have been many questions about the plan relative to the actual changes, the card system, the grant. From my first go-around in Lorain, I remember the grant being available. It was a concern of mine. It was a concern of some council members. They asked, so that led to the letter being written and asking for the possibility. And I wanted to do that ahead of time. I wanted to try to get some of these issues, including the state audit findings, on the table and addressed before council votes on Monday.
I believe we should give the City of Lorain an opportunity to go forward and at least decide on whether or not they want to go forward with the volume-based system. It's a 5-year plan, and I don't think we should keep that money tied up for 5 years, but at least a year to get through all the, get through the data and talk with the vendor and whatever else needs to be done and get consensus on city council, get feedback from your residents and things like that. I know we bounced it around up here for a very long time and had a lot of concerns over the years. It took a long time. So I would definitely at least give you a year. And then, Keith, if after that year or two or however many we determine, could that money go then into commissioner grants, or where could that money go?
Go back to the general fund of the district and could be allocated from there.
And the policy committee would decide where that money goes?
No.
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 The commissioners are in charge of the budget for the
Right.
solid waste district.
Right.
Policy committee is policy and implementation, design
Correct.
of the plan.
It's been a while since I've been on the.
3 years.
I know.
I got Betty's term, I got your term, I'm pretty familiar with it by now.
Yeah. Yes, you are.
Commissioner, remember, they're an advisory board.
Right.
Correct.
You're the governing board.
Right.
In support of Chase's statement here about the vendor has made it very clear to me, it will take them 6 months to mobilize such an operation for the city of Lorain. So this will be no small undertaking. During that 6 months, a lot of education will have to go on in the city of Lorain to prepare the residents. So he's got a long road here. It won't be a short road for the city of Lorain.
I think this gives him one more tool to work
Right.
with when he goes moving forward, and I thank you for being proactive early in your administration, Mayor.
And one other thing, we've had in-depth conversations in the last 48 hours with Ohio EPA. And they hope you okay this resolution today so that we can move forward and get carts in the city of Lorain. They are very impressed by what this district has done with the cart system. And our last community that hasn't gone 100% cart, and of course, Avon Lake and Lorain. Avon Lake will go. They have committed to me in the meeting we had recently that they're going to go in the future, be 2013-14 contract. But it's really important that we get the carts in because they do triple our recycling rate. And you can see directly from our tonnage landfill in this county today, we've moved 50,000 additional tons from the garbage side of the bubble to the recycling side of the bubble since we started the cart system. That's huge.
Which also means yesterday that Republic told us about the $12 million expansion of a new recycling facility.
Yep.
That's going to retain the jobs that are here, 40-some-odd jobs, instead of them going somewhere else if they don't get the recycling up. And then it also gives them the ability to bring in more recyclables from other communities.
The only choice when it comes to recycling in Northeast Ohio, you either got to go west to a facility, or you got to come to Lorain, or you got to go to PA. Right now, Cleveland's recyclables go to Pennsylvania. We don't want that to happen in the future. We want them coming back to Lorain to our new facility so that we worked so hard to expand and get in place. All right?
I believe we need our largest city involved, so I would second, or did you make a motion?
No, I was waiting for you. You're the president of the board.
Okay. I would make a motion to extend the opportunity to the city of Lorain to utilize the $300,000 should they go to the volume-based system.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
No.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Keith. On to my report.
Commissioner, if I can, just so everybody understands, though, if we don't get a new plan approved,
That's moot.
Mayor, I just wanted to explain one thing. Your council's going to have to understand that if we don't get a new plan approved, then our control over the funds goes out the window and everything goes out the window. So just so everybody understands that. No plan, no nothing.
Right, it becomes the EPA's plan March
Right.
6th, correct. This week, NOACA board meeting and executive board met. We started to go over the applications under executive board for the next executive director to replace Howard Mayer. Very good discussion. We got our books and we're working on that. NOACA general board meeting, Jerry Ray was there, the Ohio Department of Transportation director. He had a lot of discussion about the track funding and jobs being pushed way out. Brought up some more issues. Turnpike was brought up again. And he kind of chuckled when he said it in front of the crowd from Northeast Ohio. I'll give him credit for that. But then also the possibility of leasing out rest stops along the highways to generate additional revenue. Again, as Commissioner Kokoski said, a ton of events, candidates nights. By Greg Willey from the APL, got to give him kudos. What a great event they held. Wags to Riches, Dick Goddard hosted it. They were asking about Commissioner Kokoski at the time. to work with the dog kennel and what the board has done. Again, kudos to all those people. They did a great job, and I had a great table to play, casino blackjack at. We emptied the tray out, had a great time. And then I donated all of them to unraffle things. Team Lorain County met on our executive board. We are working on our retention expansion program out of Jobs Ohio through Team Neo. Hope to have that put together by mid-March. Solid Waste Policy Committee meeting, I think we ad nauseum this morning on that. Basically, that was our discussion. And then Mayor Brinda, nice job on her first day of the city. She's only been there a month like Mayor Rittenauer. And yours is coming up, I believe, isn't it? Your state of the city? She did a very nice job on her first report. And I think that does it. End of my report.
Mr. Williams?
We had the South Shore meeting on Thursday, which I attended along with Ms. Kokoski. Unfortunately, not a lot of information was given at that meeting. Friday did attend the Team Nowaka meeting. Interesting discussions there. Like Mr. Kalo said regarding the lease of the turnpike, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. Fortunate for me, no candidates tonight, so I'm very pleased on that. So,
Are you feeling left out?
that will be my end of my report.
I forgot to mention a while away, but we are going to have a farm tire collection again for the solid waste district, and that will be on Thursday, March 29th from 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. And is that going to be at the collection center? Do you want to talk about that?
It's also, no, that's a grant from the state. That's none of our solid waste
Right.
district money.
Yeah,
The grant, the
none of
20,000 again?
our solid waste money from our budget goes into this. This is provided by the state of Ohio through a grant we received last July from ODNR for tire recycling, and we'll be doing ag tires on the 29th of March. This is a pre-registered event, all right? It's for farmers in our community. We've done it once before. We got outstanding participation. We're going to see what we got left money-wise when we get done with this event, and maybe can hold a second event like we did last year in the year, just depending on what's left in the cash balance after we go through the money here. A couple other things that are happening, all right, up on the Growth Partnership you need to know about. On the 21st of February, which is just next Tuesday, Business Roundtable up in the conference room on the floor here will be held, and Michael Greenberg's coming to speak. He's speaking about the retrack software which we use to track our data, and how businesses now can use that software within their business to do things. Free, provided by the district under a contract with Retrack. He will also be talking about the state of recycling and waste management in the state of Ohio concerning the new legislation that's being proposed out there by different parties. Michael also represents GT Environmental is also the consultant hired by the County Commissioners Association to provide a consensus building network to build the new platform for the County Commissioners Association's platform for legislation moving forward this year. He will be giving an update of where we're at and where we're at with solid waste legislation in the state of Ohio. Be in the room next door on Tuesday, Tuesday next week on the 21st at 9 o'clock.
Thank you.
You have a press release there for, I believe I gave you a press release that gives all the information so the media
Yeah.
can have it. Did you bring it
Oh,
with you?
yeah, for the Ag Tire Center?
Right,
Yeah.
so if any of the folks in media want that, would you please give them a copy of that?
I will.
Thanks.
Real quick, there was one issue that Mr. Cortez, you sent out an email on the last Friday regarding the newspapers in the classroom. Has that been resolved?
I haven't gotten through all my folders this week. I'm a little bit behind, so I don't know if I received an answer. That was with respect to domestic relations?
Yeah, this is the one they wanted to give. I forgot how much $1,800 was it to the Chronicle for an ad to promote reading. We had Doug up here. He sent over some information. Basically,
Okay, you
it's
didn't
just
share
an
any
ad.
information. I didn't see any information.
Oh, you didn't get that? Okay.
No, I just got, Tom was against
Yeah,
the
it's-
newspapers. They didn't give us any supporting evidence. I
Right.
assume you were going to present that to us, so I didn't have that.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought Doug sent it to the entire board.
No.
I'll forward that
Okay.
on to you.
Okay.
Normally
I
when
may
one
have gotten,
commissioner asks for a response, they respond to that commissioner.
Yeah.
And then,
I may have received supplemental information earlier in the week. I still haven't gotten all the folders, so I'll let you know, Commissioner, and then I'll pass that to the remaining board members.
okay. Yeah, I
And
haven't seen anything.
then there was I'll just bring it up. Did you get the email from the Ohio pet placement?
Yeah,
regarding
about the pit bulls?
Right.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
reviewing that now.
All right.
You realize that we have, obviously, they're going to change the law, and we have to follow that law, but we also have a local policy that'll be influenced. So we need to take a look at the local policy with regard to how we handle that. Did the governor sign that legislation?
I don't think so, not yet. Did he, do you know if he did?
I knew he indicated that he was going to sign it, but I don't know that that's occurred. So before we react upon that request, we need to get a clarification of, when the law takes effect and how that influences our local policy.
Right. But I was kind of confused. I think it was Lully that sent that, correct?
I have it here. I haven't
Yeah.
completely read the whole thing.
But he's a rescue, and we allow rescues to adopt pit bulls from the dog pound now, as long as they're,
We allow rescue groups to adopt pit bulls from the kennel,
right,
as long as they transport them outside the county for
Right.
potential adoption. We do not allow them to be adopted within the county, and we do not allow rescue groups to take them if they're going to remain within the county. I believe what you're going to see is that they're going to want us to undo that policy when the law changes
right.
with respect to the adoptability of those animals, and that's something that we'll have to develop further policy guidance on.
Well, there was supposed to be a gentleman here today, Chuck Stella, I think his name is. He's going to come next week, and he's going to talk about temperaments. He's going to be part of determining or helping determine whether a dog is aggressive or not. He's going to do training for people who adopt dogs. It's going to be a really great program, and I believe he's doing it just voluntarily. So it's going to be good to know that we're going to have other people look, more eyes looking at the dogs there to see if they are adoptable or not adoptable. And it's funny when I keep saying dog pound and Mr. Cortez says dog kennel. When we first became commissioners, for some reason, somebody decided that dog pound was not politically correct, and it just sounded bad. But and we should rename it to the dog kennel.
I think
And
it was United Friends for Animal Justice.
Right,
made that
well,
suggestion to us.
they made that suggestion, and we went along with it. But I still call it the dog pound because that's what it is. And I don't want people to think that it's a kennel. I mean, people actually call the dog pound now and want to board their dog there for a week, when they go on vacation. They don't realize that it is the dog pound. And I want people to know that it's still the dog pound, and we still need people to come out there and adopt dogs and help save dogs. So
I actually
that's,
spoke to a lady,
Go ahead.
speaking of that, I was at a fundraiser Sunday, and a lady was speaking to me about, there's down there just a couple of volunteers now there walking the dogs. She's a school teacher in Cleveland. I forgot her name, but I mean, we do need more volunteers there to walk the dogs, by what this constituent told me.
oh, I'm sure, yeah, especially if we've got, what did he say, 24, 25?
Right.
That's a lot for this time of year. I mean, summertime, we get pretty full, but it's usually not that full this time of year. So if you hear me say dog pound and other people say dog kennel, that's why we have a difference in opinion. But
Well,
I would particularly like it go back to the dog pound so people realize the necessity of helping.
that's your decision. We took the name off the side of the building at
Because
the desire of the board.
Right.
You can call it whatever you want, but I would rather call it one thing. So if you want to refer to it as the Lorain County Dog Pound, let's do that, so there is no confusion. And you can tell me that administratively here. We don't
Okay.
need a big resolution or anything else. But is that the will of the board?
It's the will of myself. I don't know about the rest of my board.
If you talk with the groups that are involved in it and they're okay with it and you want to change it, I would support you on that. I know I run into individuals that still get the county dog kennel or pound mixed up with the APL.
Right,
That
yeah.
well.
happens all the time,
Yeah.
whether what we were called. That was before we even changed the name. I know that was from that group who asked us to change it to a kennel because we were going to move forward and euthanize less dogs.
Which we
And
have.
Pound is more a dog euthanization facility, if that's how they quoted it back in '05 or '04.
Mhm.
so.
Well, we'll talk about that later, but that
Yep.
would be my recommendation, to change it back to the dog pound.
I'll let you discuss that with all the groups if they're
I will
comfortable
do
with
that.
that too, and link it back to me.
Okay. I
Is
think we're
that it
done.
with commissioners' reports?
Yeah.
Public, or no, board correspondence?
I move the reading be waived.
Second,
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Public comment.
David. Not going to pass up a good opportunity.
No, not commissioners. Just two things, really. One is, I notice in board correspondence item 15, or I'm sorry, item 5, that the data processing board is, of which the president of this board is an appointed member, is meeting at this hour. I remember when Commissioner Williams noticed that at the organizational meeting, that it was meeting while you were meeting. I know you don't, you're not the only elected official involved in that board, but I think the county expects that when its commissioners are appointed to things, those things aren't allowed to have a meeting at exactly the same time.
It
It's,
happens all the time, David,
Well,
across the county.
there just aren't that many that you're part of.
Right.
You know, by resolution and things like that. And I know every once in a while something happens in the city of Oberlin when we move a council meeting from a Monday night to a Tuesday night because there's a holiday. Every once in a while, somebody says, well, that doesn't mean the Public Utilities Commission can't hold its regular Tuesday meeting. We say, yes, it does. You're a board, you know, you're supposed to have a council member liaison at that meeting. The council member liaison can't be there while the council is sitting. So it's just one of those things where I think I would say, at least I'm one county resident, who would appreciate it if for things where there are those kinds of structural connections, they could be managed to be held not exactly simultaneously.
Well, how about we do this? Commissioner Williams, how would you like your assistant, Mr. Lynch, to attend those meetings on our behalf?
I haven't had a chance to talk to him on that, but
Very brief.
he's
I know.
definitely, he's definitely got the knowledge in order to do it, so.
Can you
It's,
talk to him about that? And
I could talk to him about it. I know we even spoke about trying to get the board to change their time on that, as far as, even with our IT guy, Ernie Smith, if we need him in there and here at the same time, so. But that's controlled by Mark Stewart. I might need a little help from some of you guys to get Stewart on there. I think I'm on his bad side. But if you, Mr. Cortez, if you could put a request in to have that changed to a different time, if we can, I will attend the meeting, if that's okay with the board.
She'd have to go with your alternate, just you name a representative to any of the boards that you're not going to attend if you are the
be
president.
good for him anyway.
Okay.
Take something off your plate.
right now, we have Barry Burgess attending those meetings on our
Right.
behalf.
I don't know who that is.
He's one of the people in our IT department.
But
But
It's
I
a
think, I
governing
think it
board.
needs to be
It's-
more of a administrative, one of us or one of our,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's also a sort of a staff board thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to do what that board decides, and, you know, you usually don't get to decide on your own job description in those senses.
we don't agree on much, David, but I agree with you on this one.
Actually, we agree on more than you think. I sympathize with your vote earlier, and I understand the reasons for it.
I have that for action. I'll take care of that letter.
No, thank you.
The only other thing I wanted to say was, I don't know how many of you had a chance at the very beginning of the year to hear Mayor Rittenauer and Mayor Brinda appear on a program called The Sound of Ideas that comes on our public radio station at 9 in the morning. And it was maybe the first Monday, it was before the organizational meeting. And they had a sort of a mayor's roundtable, 5 new mayors. And Parma, the basketball player who's former basketball player who's now a mayor over on near Chagrin Fall, or no, I'll get his name for you. Anyway,
There's a new mayor of Parma.
yeah, there was a new mayor of Parma, Richmond Heights maybe, something like that. Anyway, there were 5 new mayors. Our 2 weren't in the studio, but they were in on the phone. And I got to tell you, they sounded very good. And I mean, they all sounded like they knew what they were doing and that they were going to go into things smartly and progressively on a bunch of issues. They were not on at the same time, but both of them mentioned that we need a county-wide land bank.
Yeah.
And we do.
We do.
So,
I'm in agreement. We're going to work on
yeah,
that for
so
sure.
I hope you all work on that.
We are. We are.
I
Um,
have been, David, I've been meeting with the treasurer, and I've met with Mr. Rokakis on it. We did send a letter of support in regards to that the city of Lorain did also, and I believe the city of Elyria.
I haven't heard anything about it at Oberlin City Council meetings, but I hope we
It's going
do.
to take some time, some reinventing of our DRETAC on how that's handled and fees brought in to be able to support that.
DRETAC?
Yeah, Jerry, DRETAC, it's the
Delinquent real estate.
delinquent real estate, thank you. So,
Okay.
I mean,
Just wanted the folks at home to
right,
know what
delinquent
that
real
was.
estate that we have to look for additional fees in, whether it's through raising penalties, fees, interest rates for the delinquent real estate taxes to find a way to fund that, because we currently don't have an excess of capital in there, so.
Glad you're working on it. Thank you.
Just reminded me, this past week, I went to Maryknoll Steele High School, and Donna Kaczynski interviewed me on a program that she does. It's called Who's Talking, Who's Listening, and so people in Amherst that get Channel 98, you could watch it all this week at 9 o'clock in the, 9 o'clock in the morning and 7 o'clock in the evening. So, and she gave me the DVD, and it was really good. It was really fun. It's talking about all the county issues, so stay
How
tuned
long's
for
the
that.
program last?
It was about 45 minutes, maybe.
You can get them all in then.
No, I didn't get them all
Okay.
in.
No, actually,
Does anybody else, pardon me?
Just talking about that, I did get an invitation from Ohio Business College. I actually was guest speaker at their graduation ceremony, and their political science department is looking for elected officials to go there and talk. It's on Tuesdays nights. If you're interested, let me know, and I can make arrangements for you.
Sure, cool.
Okay.
Anybody else? Rob?
Good morning.
Morning.
My name's Rob Scheithauer, and I'm an Elyria Township Trustee. And I'd like to address the commissioners with something that transpired yesterday. But first of all, I'd like to make a comment to Mayor Rittenauer. Mayor, would you maybe tell your city council that's probably the best thing that ever happened to Elyria Township? The cart system, and probably the only opposition we're getting now is from the critters that enjoy a moonlight dinner because of the garbage bag situation. So it's the best thing that happened to Elyria Township. Thank you. Commissioners, I'm here today because I attended an OTA conference, and on that following Saturday, which was just last weekend, I heard some information about the commissioners possibly making a ruling on the county building code department on where, if it's going to go forward or whatever it's going to go. And from what I heard, it concerned me, so I looked into it on Monday, and I heard the same story Monday. So I tried to contact our president, Bob White, and for some reason, I had his fax phone number in my phone. So I kept getting a fax phone. It was getting late in the day. I couldn't get a hold of him at night because I felt like this email needed to be addressed to the active members of our association. So I addressed Jean Haight, our secretary, and I asked Jean to send it out to all the active members. And in the meantime, she hit the wrong button and sent it out to the active and associate members, which was something that just happened. So anyhow, what happened here, since that email went out, I got email from Commissioner Kalo, and I got a couple phone calls explaining a little different situation. So I just want to say why this went out. I wasn't trying to cause any waves. I would like to ask the commissioners when they are going to make a ruling on this issue, because we are getting phone calls already. I got a phone call last week before the conference. A gentleman, with the weather we have now, wants to put a new roof on. He doesn't want to get the permit until he finds out what's going on with the county building code. Can you tell me when you might address this situation in public?
Thought Jerry was looking into whether or not we could do just new building instead of rehabs and new building, because I'm afraid once the sewers go in, we're going to need some kind of building department for that.
Yep.
And have all 18 townships included in that. But if we can't do that, it's going to be, everybody's going to be out for themselves. I mean, each township are going to pretty much be on their own.
Well, I'd like to explain a little bit also about what you just said, Commissioner. At that January meeting, there was a vote taken to do a mandatory building code for all 18 townships.
And it was defeated.
It was defeated.
Right.
There was a yes by Elyria Township. I just want to make people aware. We agreed prior to that meeting that if it was more than the new building construction, home construction, we would stay in it, because that's why we got in it. Then all of a sudden, we started getting these other issues of hot water tanks, roof, siding.
I think that state mandated us to do that, didn't
Yes,
they?
they did. And we was informed that that was going to happen. So in the meantime, I asked the other two trustees how they felt about it, and if it was anything more than a new building, home going up, we were going to opt out. 2 minutes before the vote come in, it was a split vote. My vote was no. So that's how Elyria Township voted, and the other township abstained from voting. So I just wanted to explain that to you too.
Okay.
Okay, so.
While I have you up here, Rob, I got other calls from different trustees. We're starting to get into the building season.
Right.
And their concern, and Jerry, maybe you can help me out on this, is if they're currently opt into the building department and they want to create their own, they would either need a letter stating that we're dissolving the building department, or they would have to opt out.
Yeah, I can answer that for you.
Okay.
They're free to opt out under the provisions there, and some have, and I think some are in the process. So we're actually what I would call going on right now in a bit of a wind-down phase. Clearly, we cannot support the community because of the lack of mass of the need. That's what led us to the point where we had to either find a way to go forward by increasing the size of the building department area that it had responsibility for, or we had to kind of go out of the business. And I was the one that informed you that we were at that point where we were going to need subsidies from the general fund to properly run the building department. And of course, we all know the general fund is significantly ailing and unable to make those expenditures towards running a building department. So I believe we're in a wind down phase right now. But I've also talked to Don Romanchek about some potential collaborations, maintaining some semblance of a building department to work collaboratively together on some issues. We're leaving it to the individual organizations.
Not to interrupt you, Jim, I mean, I would suggest, though, those who want to be out would be the easiest course of action is just opt out by resolution, the township, then they don't have that concern.
Well, Commissioner, we don't want to opt out, but we want that new home construction building department there. I think it's necessary.
I don't think we can do that.
Right, that's
though.
what, Jerry, did you ever check that to see if we're allowed to do just one and not the other?
Well, we could do some, the problem was created was that they passed a law at the state saying everybody had to use the same code. So we could no longer locally just restrict our regulations to new buildings. We might be able to work out something to reduce the fees so that the fee structure is a little bit lower with respect to other things than new construction, but we are not going to be able to get rid of it altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things with regard to the fees is, again, in order to drive the fees down,
Right.
we needed the volume.
Right.
And it was hoped that if we had a larger geographical footprint that we were operating in, once we got that moving and we started determining the actual revenue, because we just had some wide projections, then we could look at reducing the fees, because that tended to be a big concern for a lot of folks. And strangely, we got to get to that point, and we can't get to that point because we can't get through the door initially. I thought the building department was doing a rather good job in the communities it was in. The blowback that we were hearing had to do with the fees, and I don't necessarily disagree with some of those things that they had to pull permits for, but eventually we need to look at this issue, and I have asked Don Romanchek to come up with some kind of plan that we may be able to work collaboratively with the township still, because I think everybody sees partial needs within those regulations. I don't think I heard anybody say we completely don't want to do anything. They just want to figure something out that is going to still facilitate, like you said, new construction, but not have an over too much of a cost and constraint on those folks already in their homes. Like I think you mentioned the hot water heater and things like that. So we're still looking for some kind of solution that'll keep us together doing some good work in the community. And we haven't really clarified all those issues yet.
And we're not going to do it without your input and the township support in doing that. So, like when I saw that email, my email for like 2 days was not working right. Was anybody else having that problem?
My assistant's county email is down.
Well, yeah, so I didn't get it until too late, but yeah, we're not going to like try to pull something while you're not looking kind of thing. So you will be involved in anything that we would do in the future with the building department.
One of the things I've asked Don to do, and I don't mind sharing that, and it's a little bit premature, we're going to share it anyway later on, is I'm trying to see what the villages are doing out there. There was some talk about a potential regional approach to looking at this and more entities being on board. I really don't know what all the villages are doing. So I asked him to capture that data so we can take a look at that. So there may be some potential for some collaboration within that area too. So I don't think it's over. I think we have to craft a solution that you guys find a little bit more acceptable, and if we can, I want to offer that. And if we can't, then that's going to be unfortunate. But the regulations are driving a lot of that, not personal desires here.
Mm-hmm. Would it be possible to keep our LCTA president in the loop with what you're trying to do
Sure,
here?
absolutely.
And I really appreciate you working on this, but we really need an answer. You know, hopefully this doesn't drag out into the midsummer. But I know what you're up against. And okay. And one more thing: is the commissioner still accepting the commissioner grants from? Like we need a new leaf sucker.
We haven't been. We've dedicated that money to the next.
Okay.
The 2 more years to pay off the recycling
Okay.
center. We have 2 more years on that? I don't remember the numbers. 2 more. 2 more years.
Yeah, the
That's what
commission-
we've dedicated our dollars to.
The commission has committed their discretionary dollars that they used to
Okay.
fund those type of things in the community. Hopefully, when we get, that's the ROI. Once we get past that, we're in the clear, and then you'll be able to assist these communities with those type of commissioner grants.
Okay. Again, I'm very sorry about the inconvenience with the 2 emails, but I thought it needed to be addressed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
No, it's better to get that email by accident, Rob, than have 50 trustees show up today.
Well, that's why I sent the second one out.
Anybody else wishing to address the board today? Seeing none, I move that we go into executive session.
Second.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda. Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.